What's going on there, folks? Good morning, good afternoon to some out there. It's the Earthmaster here on this beautiful October 20th, 2022 date. It is Thursday, about 10:25 a.m. California time, and let's go ahead and take a look at the latest activity here. Really ramping up overnight across the globe. We did enter into a pretty good quiet spell of lack of activity. Last night's update was pretty minimal at best there as far as earthquake reporting. We did see that change drastically overnight with quite a bit of movement worldwide. Take a look at the activity around the globe here over the last 24 hours. And of course, you'll notice down there into the Panama area, a pretty good sized earthquake overnight as well. Northern California, Mariana Trench, Fiji, all showing quite a bit of earthquake activity overnight. Let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here on the map from the USGS, and a lot more active than what we've seen over the past couple days. Let me tell you, that's a big uptick. 6.7 earthquake striking a few hours ago. This is the largest so far in this ramping up of earthquake activity today. Struck just off the coast of Panama. 6.7 at 10 kilometers deep. This area does see quite a bit of movement, though, kind of towards the southern end of the Middle America Trench. And it's been quite a while, I believe, since we've seen any significant movement like that in the Panama area. This is the last 30 days of activity. Looking at movement north along the Middle America Trench and also down south here in the Ecuador, Peru area. This area only seen a handful of little smaller earthquakes, I should say, in the 4 range, and kind of puts it there within that little zone of that quiet area, so to speak, that seismic gap. But this is only the last 30 days. If we were to pull up the 6-pointers here within this region, I'm sure it would not be quite active as far as the magnitude 6s go. But if you look at the historical data here, no doubt this portion of the plate boundary gets quite a bit of earthquake activity, including some larger ones, kind of like what we've seen today, upper 6s and some 7s in there as well. So very somewhat of a large earthquake there for that region. Let's see what else we got here. By the way, did anyone else here about 5 minutes ago get a test of the earthquake warning system here in Northern California? It just came over my phone. My phone was I wasn't on it or anything. I just heard some guy's voice talking, saying that this is a test of the earthquake warning system here on October 20th, 2022 at 10:20 a.m. West Coast time. And it just says a test, which is really weird, because I've never gotten a test here from the earthquake warning system, but that is good. So maybe that's, who knows, maybe they're gearing up for a big one here along the West Coast. Okay, what else? What other activity have we seen overnight? Well, quite a bit of movement here into the Tonga Trench and also the Kermadec Trench, where we, most recent quake here, 4.5, occurring earlier this morning time frame. Stand by for just a second here. Let's see what, yeah, that was earlier this morning. I know there's another one that struck here along the Kermadec Trench. I believe that's on the EMSC model. We'll check that out here in a little bit. But either way, definitely some ramping up of deep earthquake movement along the Fiji area. 611 kilometers deep. It's some pretty deep movement there striking. Also a trail of activity stretching across the Java Trench and into the Andaman Sea area. Quite a few 4s, and including a 5.1 at 91 kilometers deep here. Large scale uptick definitely took place overnight and still continuing this morning time frame. Movement up north of the Philippines here, just outside of Taiwan, where they've seen a 4.9. The Mariana Trench showing some activity as well overnight with another 4.9. A couple areas lacking movement, though, up here along the Japan Trench and the Kermadec Trench areas. I believe this one here, when was this? 4.8 at Looks like 1918. So that was from yesterday. Very quiet along the Aleutian Trench here. Movement into Alaska, though, ramping up a little bit, looks like, including an earthquake there with a 3.8 just outside of Anchorage. Aside from that, mostly microquake activity. Okay, West Coast, let me bring back the just 2.5 and above because I don't want to skip out on some of these other somewhat important earthquakes out here. This one here from yesterday, 2.6 at 22 kilometers. Overnight, we did see a 4.3 striking into the Northern California area. Now, this one here, if you look at the depth there of the earthquake, 33 kilometers deep. That's down there into the Cascadia subduction zone level. Of course, the Cascadia megathrust sits offshore here. Got to remember this plate, the Juan de Fuca plate, is being subducted underneath the North American plate. And it's not just up here at the surface that continues to dive down further below the North American plate here, and then, of course, reaches into some high temperatures and then melts below. And then, of course, we get the volcanoes, the arc volcanoes across the region. But this one here, 33 kilometers deep down there into the Cascadia, but above the tremor line. And the tremor map here from last night, make sure, see if this is the right one. Tremor from last night didn't show too much activity here in that region, so it's a little on the odd side. Over the last, what do we got here for the last week? We'll bring that up. The last couple weeks here, most of the tremor has been confined up to Oregon and portions of Northern California. But sometimes even the tremor down there gets locked in a way. And then we see these larger than tremor events. These tremor events are not like they're not a sudden release of earthquake activity, sudden release of pressure, I should say, but more or less like a slow vibrational movement here between the two sections of the plates here. But that's a tremor, vibrational frequency being picked up by those two plates moving slowly past one another. And then occasionally you get these earthquakes upstream that are more closer to the locked area. And that's where that 4.3 struck today. But also, something we haven't seen in a while is a deep movement earthquake up here. I think the last one was up around Seattle a few years back. I'm going to try and cover that later tonight with the update as far as deeper earthquakes go down below the tremor area, which would put it further to the east here, further down dip. But either way, activity definitely ramping up into the Northern California area. And it's just weird we get this test of the earthquake warning system here this morning out of the blue. 2.7 over around south of Mount Lassen there a little bit. Looks like about 20 miles or so, 15 miles at 1.4 kilometers. That's in the negative, meaning a very shallow earthquake out here. And of course, the movement down here into the Cobb Mountain area continues today. I don't think we've seen any larger ones. Those were all from yesterday. I had a pair of threes, quite a bit of threes there kicking off around the Cobb Mountain area. But since then, had quite a bit. Some smaller quakes there in the microquake range. I'm sure that's a little bit more manageable for these folks out here. Don't want to be getting into that range where we could see some damage to some property if we start seeing some fours around that area. Again, a lot of hydrothermal operations out here. And let me show you guys the satellite map real quick once again. Covered this a little bit last night, but there's operations all over the place. This here is, I think that's one of their headquarters out there, the office staff, administrative offices. And these here are the hydrothermal operations there. Kind of can't really see super well. But there's a bunch of them, 3 there, and they're scattered out and about all over the place around the Cobb Mountain area, producing some energy there for folks around the Bay Area. Let's see what else we got. Further down south, looking at Southern California, that is the spotty one still. We haven't really seen a whole lot of adjustment down south here in Southern California. Got one earthquake way off the coast here of Tijuana, 3.8. That one coming in looks like yesterday time frame into the North American continent interior. Pretty spotty. Not a whole lot going on here. Just a little activity outside of the Milford, Utah area. A little swarm of activity, it looks like. Got to zoom in really close just to see all the activity. 18 earthquakes so far, and a lot of those look to be striking up here within the last hour or so. This is local time, 0940, and that's to me, my time. So definitely within the last hour, because it is about 10:36 here, just a few minutes shy of the hour threshold there that the USGS has on these red earthquakes, red circles. And what do we got? Pretty consistent with the depths, it looks like. You got about 4 or 5 kilometers or so out here. Let's see what we got for satellite imagery. Can't really tell. Hard to see here on this map, but if I remember right, this area does see quite a bit of swarming, and this area up around Cedar, Utah, up against the mountain ranges here. This area specifically is quiet for now, but this area here lighten up a little bit out in the desert. I don't know, maybe there's trees up here in the mountains, but a lot of desert out there through Utah. Texas did see some activity. Looks like earlier this morning and yesterday. 2.9 the latest quake though, just a couple hours ago. New Madrid zone, pretty quiet. One earthquake there from yesterday. Let's see what else we got. South America, aside from that one up there, looks like it's that's about the most recent quake here in that area. Puerto Rico Trench, not a whole lot. Last night we were swarming pretty good here. The latest earthquakes, looks like a couple twos down there in that little swarm. Up here around the Puerto Rico Trench, pretty quiet for now. Let me pull up the latest data here from the EMSC model here real quick. See if we're missing out on some earthquakes here. Of course, there's going to be a lot of aftershock activity there following that 6.7. Let me click on that and see if they've done a... well, they haven't. Normally, they put out a little scenario or a little description, so to speak, on what took place there with that earthquake. But everything looks minimal far as any estimated damages go, and the pager system, which is good news because it did sit offshore a little bit, which probably helped with some of the shaking. But I'm sure they felt it inland. Here's some of the reports being put out, mostly all light shaking there for that region. Okay, so there's going to be aftershock activity following that 6.8, which the USGS has on the map still, surprisingly. Notice that red circle there, 6.8, USGS 6.7. So a little bit of uncertainty there for those earthquake magnitudes, but they're seeing quite a few 4s in there. Looks like some, I thought I've seen a couple 5s in there as well. We can zoom in here and verify the activity. 6.8, a couple 4s there. There we go, pretty good handful of 4s, but as expected, though, there's always the potential of seeing something a little bit larger here following these earthquakes, specifically in this area. A lot of times we'll see 6s pop up and then a swarm of 4s and 5s. So if these magnitudes continue or to continue to increase in the number as far as the magnitude goes, if they continue to get stronger, then potentially we could be looking at something larger brewing up here in this area. South America overall has been very quiet in terms of larger scale activity recently. Definitely got to watch that. Backing out of here, one earthquake here. It looks like a 4.3 earthquake striking out around the central Turkey area about 26 minutes ago. 4.2. They also had a 4.3 about 6 hours ago. There's all the activity along the Kermadec Trench and around the Philippines and Indonesia area. So it looks like USGS did pretty good reporting all this activity for now. It's kind of odd. They put the 4.0 up there in Northern California. Yeah, 4.0. USGS was reporting that as a 4.5, right? 4.3 up here. And that one was kicking up just after midnight. That one has been reviewed. The depth is good. Down dip, fault plane solution there. All right, Yellowstone National Park. See what we got here for this area. That area continues to swarm here, folks. Probably a good 6 or 7 weeks now of swarming. And we'll check with the USGS and see if they've put out any type of update. They normally put out a monthly update here for volcanic activity or earthquake activity at Yellowstone. There's the 6.8, 6.7 signature, I should say, and that did show up. Looks like it showed up across a good portion of the park here at Yellowstone, over here around Parker Peak as well. Almost looks like there was 2 earthquakes in the mix there. A little on the odd side. You guys see that? 2 little signatures there. Either way, it doesn't look like that's done anything to Yellowstone. The swarm continues overnight and this morning time frame. Just been an ongoing thing here for a little while. All right, let's see what we got here. We'll zoom into the Yellowstone area up here where it sits as green, which is good for now, right? We don't want a super volcano making matters worse out here in the world. I'll go to Volcano Updates and see what they have here. This one was put out October 1st, so no new statements, no informational statements. If there was some good activity, a couple 3s or 4s kicking off here, that could raise some eyebrows, then they would probably put out a notification system here. But looks like they're not really too concerned with the ongoing earthquake swarm, considering the last update was on the 1st. If nothing changes as far as the multitude of quakes, we'll have to wait until November 1st for their latest update. A lot of information here on Yellowstone, folks. If you guys haven't checked it out, the USGS has a wealth of data about its past, its future, and whatnot, monitoring data. It's all listed there on their USGS Yellowstone page. Let's see, what else do we have here, folks? Kind of skipped out on Hawaii. I do want to go out here and see what we've got, see if there's any adjustment going on here with all the movement, right? Because we see quite a bit. But most of it here, a good westward push here of earthquake activity around the Indonesia, Java Trench, and the western Philippine plate, western portion of it. Deep movement here. Adjustment taking place here along the Panama Trench, and a little bit of activity in Northern California there as well. So quite a bit. I mean, you can draw pretty much quite a few X's here on this map where we've seen overnight activity kind of ramping up. Let's see what we got here for. Let's see. I'll keep it at newest first. 6.7 was at earlier this morning. Fiji. Deep earthquake struck after the 6.7 there. 4.5 in Fiji. That 611 kilometer deep earthquake struck after the 6.7. So that's just kind of getting an idea of the clockwork here of these earthquakes, so to speak. Just a kind of a major unzipping of the quiet activity that we've seen over the past couple days. So hard hard to figure out exactly what's going to be hit next, but definitely some areas around there to watch, considering some quiet zones for now. Alaska and the South America region. Could see some further activity up here along the Middle America Trench, along the west coast. That could be very likely. This earthquake up here in northern Cal struck a few hours prior to the 6.7 down south here. Alright guys, let's see. Let's check a space weather event real quick here. And getting in on some action here. Quite a few sea flares kicking up overnight. That is a little surprising. Let me grab some water here, because we weren't really expecting anything major to kick up. And sea flare is nothing major right now, but that's a little bit more active than they had forecasted here. There we go. Refresh this here. Is today Monday or is today Thursday? I think it's Thursday. Sure feels like a Monday. Sea flare activity. At least 3 of them there overnight. A couple yesterday as well. Trying to see where this is coming from. Looks like maybe some far side activity here. Notice this thing brightening up, indicating some solar flare activity on the far side, northwestern portion of the sun. That would be 3122, it looks like, which is now, again, way over here. A couple sunspots, at least 1 or 2 here facing us, but those are not the source of these flaring that we are seeing right now. No update from these folks as far as what's going on here, but the likelihood of that continuing, looking at this most recent image here, is pretty high. So we'll probably see some C flares, maybe an M flare from that sunspot over there, but not going to be Earth directed whatsoever. And the ones that are facing us are probably going to be continuing as is, meaning that only a chance for a C flare, low C flare. The current current coronal hole map here. Notice this is kind of facing us now, but it's centered south here on the disk of the sun. Shouldn't do anything as far as the 3-day goes. We shouldn't see any effects of it on that aspect at all because of its location. All right, folks, I'm going to jump off here. Have a good day. We'll continue to monitor the activity and, of course, provide updates here as they become warranted. And let me know, excuse me, let me know if you got a notification on your phone like I did. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, now it's been 28 minutes ago, so just a test from the MyQuake earthquake shake map here in Northern California. Just came over my phone. I didn't have the app open or nothing. Didn't have my phone on. Well, it was on, but it was on the table here. Just heard some guy's voice, and it actually showed a 4.5 test of the earthquake warning system here, which is pretty crazy. Either way, it's good to know that it works, right? Alrighty, folks, have a good day. Stay safe. We'll be kind of out here on the side working on my secondary live stream. I still haven't got the system up and running. My second computer, it went down. It's kind of weird how the timing went. It just kind of went down. It stopped working about the time I got this new system all up and running. It just seems pretty odd. Convenient. So maybe it was about ready to go out. At least my power function of my old computer, the power box. But we'll get it back up and running, just not as quickly as I wanted to. That way we can get some volcano live stream activity here as well. All right, folks, have a good day. And I am going to be probably tinkering around here with the colors of these rings here a little bit. Because they're not quite what I want far as the colors go. Literally, before I put this new system in here, the newer quakes, even within the last 6 or 7 hours, would just be a kind of a lighter color red. And now the majority of the quakes are all red, with only the most recent, very most recent quakes there in the white circles. So you see some color changing going on. That's just me over here messing with it a little bit, trying to get it back to how it was. All right, guys, have a good day. Stay safe. We'll catch you guys a little bit later on tonight, unless something major happens, right? Have a good one. Peace out.